Hey guys, just gonna do a video. It's a cross stitch tag video. This is about my 18th time trying to start the video. I can't get it started. I keep getting tongue tied on cross stitch tag, and I do have ADD, and everybody always bugs me about the whole squirrel thing. When they see me get on a tangent, they'll yell squirrel. Well, a squirrel really did go running by my porch, and I completely lost my train of thought. So I'm gonna try to get through it this time without any distractions. Good luck with that. But I was tagged by M&E Mama in her cross stitch tag video, and she had said that she was going to do this video before doing it and asked for questions that people would want to see and that kind of thing in the video. And I had been thinking about doing this video or a tag video, but just didn't get around to it. So I had sent her some of the questions that we see a lot in my forum, or things that people say a lot when they first start the forum. By the way, on a side note about the forum, if anybody's interested in joining the forum, I'll be glad to share that site with you. Pardon me just a second. But I don't post the forum site on here a lot, or I haven't yet, and I probably won't, just because I don't want a lot of spammers to come in to the forum and put more work on the moderators. So if you're, a really cross stitcher, just message me and I'll give you the link to the site in an inbox. I just didn't want to post it, and a lot of people hit the site and just spam the site. But so these were some questions that I see asked a lot to new members, and that I see people kind of go through when they do the introduction. I will post the questions in the drop down bar, and then I'll tag other users as well. So I'm going to start with number 1. How did you start, or who introduced you to cross stitch? That's kind of complicated. My mom and my aunt both cross stitched when I was a kid. I don't remember my mom cross stitching as much. I remember seeing some of the things she had done. And but I did see my aunt cross stitch a lot, and she kind of tried to teach me, but I was so young that I had no attention span for it. And then when I was about 15, I had a boyfriend. We were just friends that, talked on the phone, and he was a boy whose mom cross-stitched, and she tried to teach me, but then I couldn't really find a subject matter. Like, I think she gave me like a pattern of an alphabet, because obviously she didn't want to part with her stash. But it wasn't anything that I could get into, and I was 15, I didn't know to go shopping or where to look for it, that kind of thing. So, and again, probably didn't have the attention span for it. But then about 3 or 4 years ago, I worked in the ER. I am a nurse, and I worked in the ER, and I worked night shift. And when and if there was odd nights that we would have kind of some downtime, one of my coworkers would bring in her cross stitch project. And I remember she was working on, I think it was a manger scene or something, Christmas manger scene, or the wise men or something. No, the wise men were on it. And I would watch her do it, and I always asked her to teach me. And we always get kind of put off, but finally, like close to Christmas one year, she brought in like 3 or 4 little kits, little ornament kits, the quick stitches, to teach myself and some of the other girls. And she did, and I think I was the only one that kept with it. And then I became like obsessed with it, and I can remember like coming in and saying, "Have you seen this design? Have you seen this?" And she just kind of laughed it off. And I don't work there anymore now. I work in a completely different unit, and like my unit a lot better than the ER. But that's kind of how I started. I became obsessed, and then I could tell that she didn't, wasn't into answering my questions. That's how I found the forum that I'm now still a member of, and started asking them questions. Do you have a favorite theme or designer? Yes and no. I've done more Bent Creek items. I've completed 2 of their projects, and I've got at least 2 or 3 more waiting for me to start. And then I really like Alessandra Adelaide, the kind of squirrely, see, there's the squirrel again, the scrolly patterns. I really like hers. I've got one that I'm supposed to start in December as a stitch along. It's just groups doing just any of her designs that you want to do, and you're just going to post your pictures. Nothing too formal, but I'm going to start that then. So those 2 are probably my favorite designers or patterns I'm currently doing in ink circles, and I'm really so far impressed with their designs as well, or their charting as well. What floss brand do you use? I tend to use DMC more than anything else. I live in a town that doesn't have a lot of, well, actually there are no needle shops even in my state. The last one there was just closed recently. And the biggest craft store I've got is like a Michael's, and they have, my Michael's has none of the cross stitch stuff. Like they've got floss, and usually a lot of their bins are empty. They may have some fabric, but it's hit or miss. You never know. You can go in, there could be nothing besides the floss, or you can go in and there are kits. It's never, there's never any rhyme or reason. And then Walmart, who they don't even contain the whole set of DMC. They've got the more popular used ones. I do have some Weeks Dye Works from one of the samplers that I did from Bent Creek. But again, it's not enough to even really count. Like, it's just the leftovers from the project I did. But so DMC is the brand that I use. The next one is, what is your fabric of choice? For a while it was 18 count Aida. I guess that would be what I've stitched on the most, would be the 18 count Aida. And I have a whole like roll that somebody gave me, or a whole, what's it called, a bat or batting or whatever, the whole, of 18 count Aida. But just recently I tried linen. I think it was 18 count linen as well. And then I'm stitching something on 32 count Laguana. And I'm really liking the stitching over 2. I don't know if I like the even weave better or the linen better. I like the even weave because it gives you the even stitches, but then I like the linen because it just looks like regular fabric. So I'm still not, I haven't decided between those two yet, but I'm definitely liking the stitching over 2. I was really worried about starting it, nervous about starting it, and finally did. And I really do like stitching over 2. I seem to pay more attention when I stitch over 2. I don't grid the fabric because that just leaves too much room for error. So I've ended up, just kind of starting in the middle and working my way out like you're supposed to do with the over 2 stitching that I've done. Do you use a needle threader or are you a floss licker? I tried the needle threaders in the beginning, but they took too much time, and all I could find were like the cheap ones that were like made out of aluminum, and by the time you'd pull the thing through, the wire would pop out and it just wasn't any good. So I have to confess I'm a floss licker. Or I will kind of like use like this, the edge of my glass and get my fingers wet and kind of wet the floss and then thread it that way. But I don't use a floss threader. What kind of stitching frame do you use? I've done a video and shown all the different hoops and stuff that I have. My current favorite would have to be, other than the scroll frame I just got that I'm really liking, but I haven't stitched with that enough yet to call it a favorite. I will say that I'm completely enjoying it, and I do like it a whole lot, and I would recommend it. But I guess my favorite standby would be the Q-snaps. It was hoops for a while, but I had a love-hate relationship with the hoops because I hated the extra fabric. The Q-snaps, I learned I could at least kind of pin the fabric back on the Q-snaps. And I'm absolutely loving this scroll frame. I think it will end up being my favorite after I've used it for more time, but it's just hard for me to call it my favorite. But I can't take that to work with me if, to stitch on my lunch breaks because it's like huge. So then I go back to either a hoop or a Q-snap depending. So I don't know that I'll ever have a certain favorite or a certain one that I use. But I definitely like the Millennium, scroll frame that I have. How many projects have I finished? That would be 11. I had to count up and write my number down, otherwise I wouldn't remember. Well, 13 if you count 2 small exchanges I've done on the forum, but really just 11, like actual projects, and 3 of those were bookmarks. But I did a wedding sampler for my godmother that I kind of used a few different designs. I did a birth sampler for my son. I did a welcome or a bless this home that's hanging in our house now. And then I've done a gift, one of our security guards asked me to do a gift for his girlfriend. And then I've done some little things for my sisters. A lot of them are quick stitches and small things, nothing, you know, nothing huge. The biggest one I've started would be Starry Night, and I'm not even done with it yet. So, how many cross stitch pattern, or how many completed cross stitches do you currently have displayed in your home? 4 of them are in my home. 2 of those aren't ones that I did. I've got the Bless This Home that I did, and then my son's birth sampler that I did. And then the other 2, one is a huge one that my aunt had been working on for years, and she had finished it all, but about a 10 by 10, maybe 12 by 12 block. And we had that framed even with it not finished, and have it in my home. And then a friend that's on the forum that I've actually met in person also stitched a little teddy bear for my son. So he's got 2 in his room, and then I've got 2 kind of in the open house area that everybody sees on a common basis. Do you stitch more for gifts, or do you keep them for yourself? Most of my finished projects have been gifts instead of for myself. In fact, that's one thing my husband kind of gets home to me is, he says, I don't care how much you stitch, but stitch some stuff for us. You know, like, you know, we've got all these places he's got ideas for me to hang the items that I finish, and I'm just not finishing them. I will start one for us, and then somebody will mention something or buy a house or have a baby, and I'm doing a birth sampler, or stitching a birthday gift for my dad, or that kind of thing. But so probably more for gifts, if I have to be honest. And when I see patterns, I see the ones that I want to do for other people other than myself. You know, I'll see one and think, oh, my sister would like this, or oh, my husband would like this, my stepmom would like it, that kind of thing. What is your favorite project, or the project you're most proud, or the finish that you're most proud of? I guess that would have to be my son's birth sampler. It's Baby Row, I believe, or Child Row by Bent Creek. When I was younger and my sister were younger, my mom used to sing a song by Carole King called Child of Mine. And I sing that song to my son now. But the birth sampler says Sweet Child of Mine on it. And it's got another little phrase saying on it, but the biggest part says, Sweet Child of Mine, and has his name and his birthday. Not to be, confused with the other Sweet Child of Mine song. But probably that one. I don't know, that just means a lot to me, and I hope that'll mean a lot to him when he gets older. I don't know, he's a boy, he may hate it, but I'll always appreciate it. What has been your worst or least favorite project? I don't want to say it's my least favorite project, but it was a thing by, I don't even know who did it. It was a free sampler, and it had each month had it's not the Woodland sampler that I'm working on now. It was back when I first started. I was still working in the ER. It was called like a little heart or something, and each month had the same heart in it. That was the main theme, was the heart, but different ways. Like one, it was like on a flower and that kind of thing. It would be different places, but I think it was too complicated for where I was at when I started, and I just never finished it. It had I don't know. I just got tired of it. I kept getting further and further behind, and it wasn't the project itself. I think it was just me. I just didn't enjoy it. I don't know why. And lately, the verse from my coworker, I don't know. I want to stitch it. Don't get me wrong, but because of what it represents, I kind of hurt each time I stitch. She had lost her daughter, and that's why I'm stitching it. And every time I stitch it, I think of her, and I think of my son, and just I don't know. Just it kind of breaks my heart a little for my coworker. So. Where was I at? What do you love and what do you hate the most about cross stitch? I love that it's a way to kind of feel crafty. I know I'm kind of copying somebody else's work. Technically, it's not me being creative on my own, but it's something that I can do. I cannot draw. I cannot paint. I do not have that talent. So I like to kind of watch it grow. I don't know. I like that you do spend a lot of time on it, so you are kind of putting yourself into the project. I really love just watching them grow. What do I hate the most about cross stitch? Probably fractional stitches or back stitch. More fractional stitches. Back stitch, I love it, but I hate it because I love the detail that it adds. I mean, it's amazing how designs pop when you see back stitch. But if I see a project that has a lot of back stitch, like I think it's Thread Garden that's doing the cut through castle. I think it's a beautiful project, but it's not something I would do myself because of all the back stitch that's gonna be in it. A lot of back stitch or heavy back stitch will turn me away from a project, and so will fractional stitches. If I look at them and they seem to have a bunch of that in it, I won't buy them. I won't do them. Black work and red work will never be a option for me because it's all a lot of back stitch. But I do like the detail it adds, so I can see the need for it, but it's not my favorite thing to do. Some people save it all up for the end. I tend to try to do it as I go. Otherwise, I know that I won't finish it. If I get all the stitching done and then there's only back stitch and there's a lot of it, I know that I won't do it. So I kind of try to do it as I go. Have you introduced anyone else into cross stitching? Just recently, I had a coworker that I introduced. She was watching me, and I had gone to that DMC. I don't know what it is. DMC mentor program, and they send you like 4 little bitty kits. It's a ladybug, so it's got 2 colors in it. And they send you the needle, the fabric, and the floss. But I brought one of those that I had gotten, showed her how to do it. She's loving it. She's already talking about things she'll be doing soon and how she wants to do stuff for her baby. So hoping that she will become a stitcher and I'll have somebody near me that stitches. And then we can together go, to the stitch store that's 2 hours away from me, 2.5 hours away from me in another state. But so I'm hoping she'll stick with it. We'll see. But she's really the only one. I tried to get my sister to do it. She said she doesn't have the patience for it. And my husband kind of jokingly, when they picked up a project and, I think he did like 4 stitches and was like, yeah, this is for the birds. What was your first project and did you finish it? Not counting like the alphabet that I did. It would be that ornament that I started for when that lady taught me, and it was a candy cane, and I did not finish it. I got about 3 rows off, and it was horrible. It was crazy. I don't even know how I got so off on it, but I don't even have the project anymore. But my first finish was a bookmark that said Bibliophile on it, which I've now made 3 of those bookmarks for other people as well. But that was my first finish, but I didn't finish my first start. And I don't know where my first finish is, and I don't know where my first start is, which is horrible. We moved since then. I think it got mixed in or stolen or lost, or I don't know, misplaced at work. And it was a bookmark, so I don't know if I had a book and I turned the book into the library or what, but that was all the questions on M&E Mama's videos, but I added in one, how do you store your floss? I do the floss away bags. I know there are several ways to do to store your floss. That's a very, very common question on the forum, is floss organization. I had started off with the stitch bows. I bought like the book and like 3 or 4 pages of those and hated it. And then I tried to do the bobbins, which is what my aunt did use, and I can't. Just every time I would add a new color in, I'd have to move more and more back. I didn't like having to constantly spend more time, organize my floss. So then once we moved to the house that we're in and I kind of had my own stitch area, I started using the floss away bags, and I just put like a card. I don't use I use the rings for like my projects, but I don't use the rings like to store them. What I do is I cut a file card down a little bit and put them inside the bag to kind of make it stiff, and then write the number on the card and then put the floss in there. But that's how I store my floss. And that's all the questions now. I will tag some people in the video as well. to where they can share in the questions. And please feel free, if you have any other questions, just send them in the comment or send me a message. And that's really everything. Thanks for watching.